Welcome to Yes Genius, a podcast from Epic Marketing that celebrates the power of affirmative thinking. In each episode, we explore the power of saying yes to unexpected opportunities, career changes, even the unknown, and the powerful results.
Hello and welcome. I'm your host for this episode, Dara McBride. Joining me is Kerriann Otaño, Vice President of Engagement for Opera Delaware. She is a former opera singer, having performed at Washington National Opera, Houston Grand Opera, Lyric Opera of Chicago, and the Metropolitan Opera. She remains an internal opera hype girl and lives with her husband, a tenor, Dane Suarez, and two dogs in Wilmington. Welcome, Kerriann.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you.
We're happy you're here too. So I don't think we have time for a full fit check, but can we see the nails?
Oh, yes, the nails are exceptional. It's also like the nails are also an opportunity to flex the rings, which have you ever seen a watch ring? Because we're talking like this baby hasn't turned on since I'm going to say the turn of the century, but it still is a flex. It's definitely a flex.
That's flex. I have a strange question for you. Do you get your antique and vintage jewelry from a fellow opera singer who also has an active vintage Instagram account?
Are you talking about Sarah Duchovny?
Yes, I am.
Oh my God, she is a good friend of mine. I've gotten some things from her, but this actually, my husband got this for me. It was like from a family member, so a little heirloom present. But yes, Sarah Duchovny curates the most beautiful. This is the thing that's amazing about opera singers for me is like she has such incredible taste and has traveled all over the world and curated this incredible archive of incredible jewelry, right? And so just to get to experience what she curates online and support her in that way, it's really, really exciting.
Amazing. I've never met her, so you shouldn't mention me to her because she doesn't know who I am. But I've been following her for some time. I think I started following her when she was using an RV to get around the country and
Yes,
perform at
she and her
different opera
husband.
gigs.
Yes, they
Yes.
were they were living that RV life for a minute there.
Okay. Very cool. Different artists doing stuff on Instagram. But we are here to talk about you. So you're somewhat new to your role at Opera Delaware, and you're originally from New York. As we mentioned in your bio, you have traveled and performed all over, including Italy. We should mention Italy. Um, Yet you've really thrown yourself wholeheartedly into this job and to getting to know Opera Delaware and Delaware, the state, and just being part of the community. So, how did you come to make this transition?
So when I was singing professionally, it's amazing to look back on it now because it was so much fun. It was so exciting. It was like living my dream, and it was this dream that had been introduced to me when I was in high school, and so from the time I was 14, it was what I wanted to do. But it also comes with a lot of heaviness. Most specifically, opera singers typically are living out of a suitcase. They're bouncing from city to city on gigs. And for me, by the end of my career, by the end of my singing career, it was really, really difficult for me mentally and emotionally to be so disconnected from the communities that I was performing for and to be disconnected from my people, from my family. Um, and so in 2018, 2019, when I was singing at the Met, that was a really big turning point for me. It was a moment where I thought I'm going to have to quit singing because I was so terrified. I was so depressed and anxious and um, lost. And singing this thing that used to bring me so much joy, I couldn't sing without crying. I couldn't sing without having panic. And so I decided that I wanted to transition into administration. And I decided that because when I spoke to an administrator uh, at the time when I was going through this, he saw me as a whole person. He knew me and he said, listen, we're not going to let you go. I was offering to quit this job. I was supposed to have a residency for four shows at an opera company in California. And I said, I can't phonate. I can't sing. Something's wrong with me. And he said, okay, I want you to get better. I want you to start therapy. I want you to figure out what's going on with you. I want you to take care of yourself. And then in 2 months, we'll figure out if you can sing the rest of the season. And because of this man's advocacy for me because he saw me as a whole person and not just a line item in a budget. I was able to heal and get better. I was able to, I think, sing better than I ever sang in my career. And I was able to better advocate for the art form. So when I came back to singing, when I kind of had recovered a little bit and was feeling stronger, I marketed for this company. I fundraised for this company. I was out in the streets talking about and advocating for it. And that's really what kind of led me to this. I realized that I had such a passion to share this. And especially I have a passion to share it when it's talking about advocating for artists and audiences, when it's when the focus can be, as it was for me, on seeing us as full people and not just the art that we create.
Yeah. I think when you come from an honest place like that, I mean, you're truly passionate about this and have your experience in it, you can have such a stronger voice in the marketing and advocating for others. So
Thank you.
that's
I
really
I
unique.
agree. I agree, and I think that's another reason why I want artists to be more involved in marketing and in sort of the way that companies are represented. I think that a lot of opera companies, as I said, we live kind of nomadically, so they bring in these artists for a few months and then they're gone. What I love about Opera Delaware is that we do things that are artist curated and artist led. And so you really get that behind the scenes artist perspective. You get to hear the music that they want to share with you. You get to hear the artist stories. And that's a really, it's easy for me to do my job because it's exactly what I believe in.
What are some ways that you recharge? And are there any tips that you have that you share with Opera Delaware artists?
So for me, there are definitely there's a need to recharge. Let's start with that. There is a deep need to recharge because I fully believe that I am here to like pour into people and pour my hype energy and my support into everyone, but you can't pour from an empty cup. And there are times when the cup runneth dry, you know? Um, and I find that the greatest gift and part of the reason why Delaware is the place for me is because of the network of people that I've been able to build here through Leadership Delaware, through my community, through Opera Delaware, obviously my incredible husband. Um, but those people are there to really help me stay present, to unplug, to realize that life is what we're doing right now. Um, I think that anxiety and stress about the future, it can monopolize. It can take so much of our life and so much of our joy. And so I'm so fortunate to be surrounded by two great dogs who need to go for walks every day, great friends who want to meet for coffee and talk, people who want to grab dinner and brainstorm and be creative. I mean, I find that I get recharged just talking to people who are curious about opera, or people who are curious about the arts in general. That recharges me. That fills my cup. So for me, it's a lot of one-on-one personal time.
Mhm. Yeah. I once heard you tell a story about you were in the audience watching a performance and you were very enthusiastic, and your quote unquote enthusiasm was there was someone else in the audience who was not receiving it in the same way, but you kind of had a conversation with them and reframed what was happening and built a bridge. So can you share that story again?
I would love to. So, um, this is something that I find so interesting because the majority of people in America don't go to opera. 97% of people in America don't regularly attend the opera. So I think it's so important that when we have an opportunity, when someone's in the opera house, that we take every opportunity to connect with them and to make it a positive experience. But I was in a production, I was sitting in the audience of a comedy, and I was laughing and I was bravo. I was getting the applause started when the arias were over, and because I know the rhythm of the shows, opera singers, obviously, like we've been with living with this music for so long. Uh, and I noticed that there was a woman in the audience who looked at me a few times. She kept looking up at me as I would laugh or as I would clap. And at one point, she turned and she looked directly at me in the audience. And my mama was a beautiful woman named Kerriann, and she taught me well. And the main thing that she taught me is that things are not always as they seem. It's not we can brush people off so quickly. I could have dismissed and said, "Oh, that woman doesn't understand." But instead I went up and I talked to her and I said, "Hey, I noticed that like my enthusiasm might be distracting you a little bit. I'd love to offer you better seats closer to the stage. I'd love for you to have a great experience here, but also I want you to understand why we react the way that we do." And I said, as an artist-led company, this is how we show our gratitude and our respect to the artists. This is how we show them that we're present in this moment with them. We react. We don't sit back and now I'm leaning into it, but I gave her a much more succinct version of this, but just so she could understand, because what she said to me was, "I thought we show our respect for the artist by being silent." That's genuinely what she thought. And that's what we're dealing with, is these misconceptions that people have, and then these judgments that we make on them, these boxes that we put each other in, when instead just go have a conversation with someone. So I said to this woman, this is how we show our respect and appreciation. It was eye-opening for her. I understood why she was the way that she was. She understood why I was the way that she was, and we both had a great experience at the rest of the performance. I love that.
I love that. I think curiosity and communication go a long way.
Oh my gosh, curiosity, yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned your mom, and I've heard you mention your husband and your dogs. Of the people who help fill your cup, who are the top three that you look to?
Ooh, that is a great question. I mean, number one spot is definitely going to be my husband. Um, Dane and I have been together for 10 years. And one of the things that I think I'm so grateful for with him is that he's really been like kind of my witness in life for everything that we've experienced together, for everything that we've experienced on our own. Dane knows me in a way that um, I think marriage is like a profound gift, and I'm really, really grateful to share my life with him. I would say second is my dad. I call him Gilbo Swaggins. He's absolute goofball. He is just warm and loving and supportive and fun. Um, and again, really encourages me to enjoy all of these things that are happening, and not fear for the future or regret the past. He's a great reminder for me. And then the third, even though she's not with us anymore, is my mom. And I lost my mom last September. And uh, my mom is the reason that I am the hype girl that I am, because my mom would say to me, in my darkness, she would say, "You don't see how special you are. You don't see what I see." And uh, it wasn't until after she passed that I realized that I see that in other people too. I see how special you are. I see how special these artists are who come and work at Opera Delaware. I see how special an individual our audiences are. And so my mom she was a teacher, and she was an incredible member of the community, and she was so well loved. And that really has inspired me, and it continues to fill up my cup just thinking about her, journaling about her, and talking to her.
Oh, it sounds like you're really carrying on her legacy in your own way.
Thank you so much for saying that. I hope I am.
Yeah. Was it your parents who started taking you to musicals and opera?
Yes, I mean, it was definitely my mom recognized that I was a big old ham. My dad, Gilbo Swaggins, bless his heart, and I know he's going to listen to this, but the man is tone deaf, and it needs to be said. He cannot match pitch. I love him to death. Um, but my parents were really open to different styles of music. When I got involved in musical theater, they dove with both feet right into it, and they would take me to musicals and take me to see Broadway shows. When I became interested in opera, it was the same thing, that they just shared that curiosity. They wanted to support whatever I was passionate about. So yeah, I think my parents really were the gateway to a world where I could be curious about anything. I could learn about anything. I could do anything, because my parents really empowered me in that way.
Okay. What do you think is the gateway for today's kids and teens to try opera?
Well, I mean, for me, it's curiosity and community. I think that we spend so much time right now on our phones. I am guilty of it, and so much time in front of screens, especially since COVID. Um, we feel like we're hyper connected because email, social media, like we can, everything at the touch of a button, I can reach out to someone. I think that the only way that we really feel connected is when we're making eye contact with another person, is when we're sitting in the same space and connecting. And I think that is exactly what art allows us to do. So the whole point of going to an opera is to sit in a room, to turn your cell phone off, and to experience a couple hundred people making art for you live. I think it is so thrilling. And I really want, I think the challenge is that young people don't see themselves in the space. They think that opera is for a certain demographic of people. That's not them. And this is true for people of all ages. 97% of people in this country don't go to opera. So the majority of the people don't think that they belong in an opera house. So step one is dispelling that idea. Step one is showing people that they belong here and that their voice is needed here and that how they react is correct and that they know enough to enjoy opera and they deserve to experience it, right? Like it's empowering the audience, and then they show up in the space and they have a killer time because opera is, as a fact, dope. But the first thing is to show them that they belong here and that they deserve this.
I want to talk about everything you're doing on social media, your opera hype girl personality, because you're talking about being in the same space as people and making eye contact. And the thing is, this is probably only the second conversation we've had, but I do feel like I know you. I saw you in downtown Wilmington the other day, and I almost like rushed up to say hello, and then I remembered that you don't actually know me. But because I follow you on Instagram and I watch your stories all the time, and I see your bathroom fit checks and the nails and like so tell me about your opera hype girl personality. Who is she?
Well, that is pure unadulterated me. It was amazing because I started sharing more. I started sharing more through grief and through mental health. I started sharing more as I was like getting through the process of trying to get myself back to me, from when kind of opera broke my heart, and singing. I felt so lost in singing. So I would say I was leaving myself mental health breadcrumbs. So when I was having a good day, I would record videos and be like, this is what's great about life. And when I was having a bad day, I would record videos and be like, you feel low right now, but it's going to be over soon, right? This is only temporary. It's a wave. Let's just ride the wave. And people started like kind of relating to it when I talked about my mom, when I talked about the move, my husband and I coming here, when I talked about life changes. And people were relating to it. And I said, well, if I'm going to have this platform, if people are interested in this, then I want to use it to, on a global scale, demystify this thing that folks find intimidating, this thing that I love so much, this thing that my friends pour all of their energy and souls and spirits into. And so the more I started sharing little behind the scenes tips, the more excited I was. Like, I'm just so excited to get to share this with people. And so Opera Hype Girl kind of came out of a really dark place, a difficult place in my life, a lot of sadness and trying to find the joy. And then it became such a source of joy for me.
Is there any like do you plan it out? Do you try to post at a certain time of day or a certain
I know I
amount, or
told
is
you
it just
marketers. I know. So I really should know, right? I like the algorithm. The algorithm, Kerriann. Like there are things. There are like hashtags I'm supposed to use. I know all of this. I one of the things that I like is that it's allowed me to create something really organic. Like I feel like there's kind of no gimmicks. That there's no like real strategy. I'm just trying to share bits of this experience and make people fall in love with it. That having been said, my God, if you guys want to help me come up with a strategy, that would be great. Because it's fun and it feels really good to authentically connect with people, to just say, oh, I want to share this moment. But I do think that it is a little chaotic. I will give you that. It is a little chaotic.
creatively chaotic?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. I get it. Okay, we're going to shift gears a little bit into a rapid fire section if you're ready to go, go, go.
Let's go.
Okay. Do operettas count as operas?
Yes.
That's good to know. What is a good spy code name for you?
Ooh, a spy code name. I'm going to say Agent Lavender Brown, Esquire.
Describe your dream date.
Ooh. My dream date is that someone rents me a beach house for a week and lets me go there by myself with my husband and my dogs and just relax. My dream date is relaxing on a beach. Maybe someone brings me a drink. Mostly just relaxing on the beach, though.
That sounds really nice. Part of me expected you to hype an opera mini gala. Is that what it is?
A micro gala?
Micro
Oh,
gala.
yes, please tee me up to talk about a micro gala. Yes, so the micro galas are so fun and they are a great date night. And they happen like sporadically throughout the year. We have one coming up that's downstate. We do them all over the state of Delaware and we do them for opening night at the opera. So it extends the opera experience, but it's a way to tie opera in with things that people love: wine tastings, gambling. We have play poker and blackjack. We might do 5-course dinners at a fancy restaurant. That is a great date night. So blammo, you did it. That's marketing. You did it.
Yeah, you're right. It is a good date, but probably better for me. Like if we have been talking about you recharging, so I will let you have your beach house.
Thank you for my beach house.
What is your favorite thing about each of your dogs?
Oh, my favorite thing about Frankie, who is a puggle, is that she is incredibly empathetic, and she will just like smush her body against you and lie with you, and all day, all night. When Dane got his wisdom teeth taken out, she would not get out of the bed. She's an angel. My favorite thing about Loop is that she's out of her mind excited. Loop is me. If I was a dog, I would be Chalupa the Chiweenie because she is all energy, all bark, all enthusiasm, and then like a little lovable toy who just wants you to cuddle her and pet her belly. That's me. Yeah, basically as a dog.
Describe Delaware in one word.
Potential.
Ooh, very nice. Very nice. I do love with Delaware. I was thinking about the Opera Delaware studios. They're right there on the riverfront, right next to the Amtrak station.
Mhm.
Greyhound's close by too, if that's more your thing.
Yes.
95 there. There's lots of opportunities to come on through.
Absolutely. Yes. And we do artist curated performances here in the Opera Delaware studios in the Black Box and in the recital hall. And then we do main stage operas, these grand productions at the Grand in Wilmington, and our micro galas and pop up operas all around the state. So there are so many options of ways for people to interact with opera, have their first experience, second experience, fifth experience with opera. Such a variety of ways to experience it here in Delaware.
Okay. If you had to talk for 5 minutes straight without spending any time preparing, what topic would you choose?
Hmm. I would I would talk about why the arts make people better leaders and better collaborators.
I think we had a few people who would attend that. So it's a good one. And then lastly, what kind of genius are you?
Ooh, um, I love I love even just the possibility that I'm a genius. I think that I'm a chaotic genius. I think I'm a chaotic, creative genius.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about possibilities and unexpected things and potential. Can you tell me about when you said yes to something unexpected that maybe had unexpected results? That
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
I mean, a thing that I said yes to, I would say, is this job. This position was created for me. Brendan and I got together. Brendan Cook, who's the general director, um, we got together and we talked about our vision for what opera could be for artists and for communities and for audiences. Um, and over the course of a couple weeks, a couple months, we crafted this role, this vice president of engagement role, and we've continued crafting it throughout the year. But I will tell you, there were times when the pit in my stomach, you wouldn't believe, when I couldn't get out of bed, when I was so scared that I bit off more than I can chew, that this wasn't for me, that I wasn't smart enough, good enough, ready for this opportunity to lead. And the fact that, again, it always comes back to people, Because if we just listen to the voice in our head who's narrating, telling us that we're not good enough, we're going to fall down that path and we're going to believe that voice. But having people like Brendan in my corner, having people like my friends in Leadership Delaware, to remind me that I can do this, to remind me to trust myself and trust my instincts and to ask questions and to be curious, that has really made a huge impact.
Okay. With everything you're learning on your journey, I'm sure you have a lot of great knowledge to share. So for our last section, we asked ChatGPT to help us come up with the title for your best-selling book, or maybe your vlog series. Maybe it's the title of this episode. So we have a fun selection here. So let us know your favorite.
Okay.
I'm going to go through them now. Duet with dedication, artistry, and advocacy in every act. Voices in harmony, navigating life's libretto with Kerriann Otaño. Fearless notes, Kerriann Otaño's overture to Opera Delaware. Carmen and cookbooks, a soprano's recipe for opera success. And from melody to marketing, a maestro in engagement.
Oh, I love that one. Oh, that one actually got me. I'm going to be honest with you. It was going to be the one about librettos, but I actually love that. That's a good one. Trademark.
And then
trademark.
I have to share at least one more with you because you, in your bio that you have up on Opera Delaware, you mentioned going to Italy and eating a lot of pasta there because obviously you should do that. And so one that it came up with was The Witch, the Soprano, and the Pasta Pot. Opera Delaware Unplugged.
Listen, that is iconic because playing witches in musicals, I was the witch in Into the Woods a bunch. I was the witch in Hansel and Gretel, the opera Hansel and Gretel. Witches play a significant role in my life and my arc. So, ChatGPT, how do you know me so well? How do you do this?
It was your bio. It was all you, actually. The computer just generated things, but it was all you. Okay. So we got some great options here.
Excellent.
You trademark them for us.
Yeah, I think a whole series, to be honest with you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. Before we wrap up, if people want to connect with you or find out more about Opera Delaware, how can they do that?
Yes, you should absolutely follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Kerriann OMG, Kerriann OMG. You should follow Opera Delaware on social media, Opera Delaware or Opera DE. And you should visit operade.org to learn more about Opera Delaware, our programs, and how we can bring opera to every part of Delaware and maybe to your state.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be sure to be listening for more from Opera Delaware.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Yes Genius, a podcast from Epic Marketing. Join us again to hear more unique stories. In the meantime, find us on social media or online at epicmc2.com. Don't miss out. Remember to follow or subscribe wherever you get your genius content.